passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the down pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening and welcome back to Evolution Sim Racing. We're in Season 2 and this is Round 5, live from Florida. Here we are at Daytona Beach, the home of NASCAR, the season opener for NASCAR, built by NASCAR founder Brill France Sr., or William France Sr., if you prefer his church name. It's Dean Biggles and yourself, you're the one and only Stephen Karabelas on the mic tonight. We're at a track here that opened in 1959. It is 5.7 kilometers long, and it's Dale Earnhardt who is the most successful driver here with 34 victories over his career until his death on the final lap of the 2001 Daytona 500. But what a record he created before that. This is still actually the third largest single-lit outdoor sports facility in the world as well. It's an absolutely fantastic venue for racing. Look at how big those stands are in the background there. Plenty of spectators available to squeeze in to this fantastic venue. I'm looking very much forward to this one. Dean, it's going to be a cracker. We've got a hell of a season going so far, and it's only going to get better from here on in, do you think?
Yeah, it should. And this is our second of our 1 hour races during the season rather than the 2 split up race championships that we have. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to handle this fantastic circuit, of course. So elevation changes, the banking. You'll see it when we go on board some of those drivers a little bit later on. But first of all, while they're in a warm-up session because the qualifying's over, we'll bring you up that grid zone. We have standings to go over.
We certainly do. It's Tristan Brega who's taken the lead in the pro standings after 3 wins on the bounce, 4 overall, winning in Le Mans. Can he make it 2 one-hour races in his back pocket? Aaron Kirby still there or thereabouts, only 5 points behind, and his consistency is proving very tough to overcome. 3 podiums to his name. Rhys Saunders, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, there in P3 in the championship for Team Year 1. Came P2 last time out after a tasty battle at Hockenheim with Tristan de Brega, and it's Ewan Stitchbury coming up in 4th and Paul Cowlishaw in 5th. Both having a great start of the season, but starting to trail off a little bit, having a few issues here and there. Ara Masalinskas, last season's winner, of course, in P6, has still got some work to do, but he's only 12 points off P5. He can definitely make some headway if he's here this evening. Moving on to the Pro-Am standings, we've got Matt Hyland who's taken charge of this one. He's 39 points in the lead over Matthew Jones. Both had poor runs of the feature race last time, P5 and a P12 for them respectively. Scott A. Kostrich, the man who is putting in those consistent podiums at the moment, but it's Daniel Nans as well, who's still in with a shout. This one is wide open. There's only 3 or 4 points separating the Ps 3 and 4. And Nicholas Newton is definitely not slow, that man. He's got a win under his belt. And we've also got James Bostock as well, who won in the first race of the season. Came P3 in last week's Hockenheim sprint race. And it's Rich Gregory, a newcomer to the season as well, who's proven that consistency means a lot. He's finished P10 more often than anywhere else, but he's still in P7 in the championship. Swiftly moving on to the ARM category, and this one is
Joe
also
Glass as well too. Don't forget about him getting a race win as
yeah.
well too in the previous round, so that puts him up into P9. But the AM now for you, sir.
Yeah, certainly Matt Barnett winning this one at the moment. Only 11 points separating him and Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson has really found some form in the last 4 races, but Matt Barnett still putting in consistent podiums. We've got John Ludbrook and Nathan Crook, the team championship leaders at the moment, starting to slip down the order a little bit in the ARM standings. They need to re-find some early form and get a couple of wins under their belt. Richard Knight there in P5, plenty podiums to his name, and Dalton Hall brings up the rear in P6. Chris H. Keenan won the first 2 races, and he's missed a couple. Came P5, I think that was Le Mans round 5, and he struggled since then. He needs to turn up, I suppose. It would be the first step. There's the team championship standings. It's Ludbrook Racing still, or Ludcrook Racing, I should say. Apologies. With John Ludbrook and Nathan Crook leading the way on 597 points, 50 points almost over Aaron Kirby and Richard Knight. Aaron Kirby and Richard Knight, of course, in separate classes as well, so they can both take home the maximum 50 points, whereas John Ludbrook and Nathan Crook cannot. They're in the same AM category. Jeremy Ulemans and Matt Barnett also rising the order, and for Team HYR. But we've got some chat to catch up with. DXTV Live is saying he's got his popcorn ready and his large pop and is ready for another race. Rob Simracer says, "Evening guys, not racing tonight, but I'll be watching along. Go DXT Motorsports and DXT Academy." Great to see this kind of support. Moylan not the first, as we have taken a 50-point penalty for changing car, now in the Lambo. So that's interesting. So some people unhappy with the wheels they've got for the season and opting to swap them out, even with a 50-point penalty for doing so. Go Matt Jones and Glassy as well. Joe Glass getting some support there from Chris Jones. Imagine some relation to Matt Jones there. We'll move on swiftly to our grid, and it's Ewan Stitchbury who's taken pole with a 144 flat here as well. Peter Cox also with a 144 flat, and Tristan de Brega as well, 144 flat, so it's tight at the top. And Peter Cox has had a couple of good races so far, but I've not seen him get that high up on qualifying. You should have hopefully have a good one today for the 2.5k rated iRacing driver. Aramas Linskas is in P5 with Piers Berry, a newcomer for the AM category, getting himself all the way up to P6, beating out all of the Pro AM category as well. Aramas Linskas there in P5. Luke Lucchese, uncharacteristically in P8. He's done very well in his qualifyings so far this season. And Reece Saunders as well, uncharacteristically P7. Some work to do for those two fast boys. Matt Hoyland, of course, leading the championship in the Pro-Am category, takes pole for the Pro-Am category, but he's down in P9 overall. Paul Robson, after getting in a bit of a tangle last week with Paul Cowlishaw, is starting in P10. And Aaron Kirby, second in the championship, starts P11 on the grid. He's got a lot of work to do, and Matt Barnett, leading his category as well, starts P12. We are going to have a rolling start this evening as well, something that we're testing out, and possibly something to do with the amount of crashes that we've had in lap 1 of the standing starts. What are your thoughts on that there, Biggles?
Yeah, I think
rolling or standing?
Yeah, you definitely need to do something. You definitely need to do a rolling start, in especially Daytona, isn't it? When you're going to be flying into that first corner, it would just be absolute chaotic carnage. So, electing to do so, hopefully, could provide less of that we've seen, obviously, in our standing starts. I am one for standing starts. Don't get me wrong on that one, partner. But at the end of the day, we do want to see as many drivers go through, because it's an hour race on top of that too. Remember, so.
Yeah,
you want them, but you don't want drivers that we've seen before in the past get knocked out in the first lap or the first corner or so forth, and then they basically just retire the car because I said, look, enough is enough. They don't want to fight their way through the field. We don't encourage it, but at least this chance right now, at least this will give them drivers a chance to try to get something about it. And here we go. The pace car is going to peel in. They're going to get ready to get rolling for our second 1 hour race of the season here for the Evolution Sim Racing.
Down to Ewan Stitchery to get the field underway, and he's gone already, and he looks to have caught P2 napping there and gets a fantastic start. Already takes the racing line into turn 1, and there's going to be a bit of a tangle between P2 and P3 behind, and it looks like P3's got down on the inside there. What a fantastic move. Looks like it's Peter Cox who has not got the start he wants. Tristan LeBrega, and there's a big crash in the background. Somebody's into the barrier. It looks like it's Reece Saunders who's taking a big hit, and he reverses back onto the racing line. That's a big no. Oh, he was very, very lucky that he didn't collect anybody there. But I get the feeling that maybe somebody's going to report him for that rejoin. Anyway, he should have held the brakes. There was a note from the steward's room already from last week, after Luke Lucchese got a bit of a penalty there for not holding his brakes after a spin. But what an entertaining start that was. And we've still got racing side by side here through with Matthew Hoyland in P9 at the moment, trying to make his way further up the field. But looks like... maybe he's not in P9. It looks like he's maybe a bit further down. But so far, so good for the majority of the field. There's a car sideways and off, and that is Daniel Nans. He's going to be very disappointed with that. Looks like possibility of contact there. Looks like maybe that was in the chicane, and he does very well to get back going and without coming back onto the racing line. But all action so far on the first lap here at Daytona. But Ewan Stitchery leads over Peter Cox, who's taken the position back from Tristan Nebrega. Paul Cowlishaw gets himself up to P4. He's done fantastically well at the start here as they come through the chicane now. So it wasn't a chicane there. Somebody's cut that chicane massively. That's going to be a slowdown for sure. And Aramas Linskas up to P5 as well. He gains a position here, trying to go around the outside on the long banked sector through turns 12 and 13, and is he going to be able to get this done? It's going to be tough on this outside position. I don't think Paul Cowlishaw is going to give this up. He never gives anything up, and this could be entertaining coming into turn 1. The inside line so powerful here for turn 1 though, and Aramas Linskas just backs out of it and slots in behind, tries another time. Matt Barnett getting past Aaron Kirby there in the background as well, and starting to see who the biggest winners and losers are. It is, of course, Reece Saunders, who's down 24 positions. Daniel Nans, who's down 23 now at the moment. They'll both have had a pit to repair that damage. They will have a couple of fast repairs available to them. Follow on board here with a replay. John Ludbrook as he spins and smashes into the inside there. So many people are coming through that corner so quick. Very, very difficult to avoid a car sideways there in turn 1. And no surprise that he collected somebody else.
Yeah, just like that, you can see your position gainers and losers already there. Of course, Reece Saunders is a big loser out that one, down at P30 at the moment there. Daniel Nans as well too. But you'd have to say, so far so good, considering could have been a lot worse of a pile-up, couldn't it, if we didn't have that rolling start. And that turn 1 has always proven to be notorious for some of those drivers as they're going to make their way into lap 2, lap 3, of course, now, and only 3 minutes into a 1-hour race. Plenty of racing to go.
Certainly is here as follow on board with Luke Lucchese. Been in the wars a little bit. Luke Lucchese, he's had contact with a couple of other drivers and generally just tends to let the red mist descend sometimes when that happens, and he leaves the race, which I hope that doesn't happen to him today. He has been given a bit of a tap on the knuckles after last week at Hockenheim because he did not hold his brakes when after spinning, after contact with somebody. Sitting on board here with Reece Saunders here, and yeah, he's struggling out there. He cannot get that car to behave. I imagine his wheel is bent beyond belief. He needs to get that car into the pits and sort that out. We've got Stephen Donnelly in the pits, and he's out of the race altogether now already. Terminal damage for him as Graham Matthew comes into the pit lane. It is fastest lap though for Paul Cowlishaw, who's done a 44.4, 2 tenths quicker than the rest of the field, but Tristan Lebrega just in front of him also with a 144.4. So these two guys, Paul Cowlishaw and Tristan Lebrega, could well be challenging for the lead. We've got a little bit of a train all the way down to Piers Berry in P6, who's doing a fantastic job so far for an AM driver to be so high up in the order, but he's certainly got a couple of people behind him who are going to give him something to think about in Paul Robson and Luke Lucky Cheesy.
And as they're starting to, you can see you can see the dots there in pit road at the moment. You can see down there at the moment, Reece Saunders gone in, Daniel Nuns, Graham's coming back out there, Mark Robinson, Richard Knight, and Stephen Donnelly. But the challenge for the lead is on right now. Here we go. Peter Cox versus Stitchberry. So let's see if Stitchberry's going to hold on at the moment here from his lead on putting that car on pole. And Peter's trying to challenge him, but Pete couldn't quite match the speed into the first couple of turns.
That was through the chicane there. A very difficult place to make the overtake. If you're trying to down the inside there, you've got to be prepared for the man that you're overtaking to try and hang it in the inside there. And very, very easy to make contact through those two corners. Auramas Zelinskas is still all over the back of Cowlishaw, coming through turns 12 and 13 and into turn 1. This is going to be the place where we're going to see the majority of overtakes, I think, is into turn 1. If you can get the inside line into turn 1, it's pretty much a job done. But as you see here from Cowlishaw, if you defend that inside line, it's near on impossible to get that move done around the outside. You've got to have a lot of faith in the driver on the inside not to pull wide and push you off the track. Into the infield sector as well. And around.
Contact there between.
What happened there?
Russell, and I think he's come back on there. Might have hit Scotty there. Boom. He has.
He certainly did. And it's taking Scotty well out as well. Scott Kostrich there in the multicoloured Porsche. He'll be disappointed with that rejoin for sure. That's almost certainly going to be a bit of a big penalty coming his way. Joseph Sparrow, missing for a few weeks. Currently making an overtake there in his very pink, very BWT Racing Point. I couldn't remember the name of the team for a second there because I mean, let's be fair, that team name's changed more often than my underwear the last few years. But very beautiful looking at pink BMW there, as he makes an overtake on Nathan Crook.
Yeah, apologies out there. Piers Berry at the moment is a pro driver that's been alerted out there. Sorry, we've had some late changes there to the roster. I'll see if we can get them fixed up in the background during our race. We've just still got plenty of time to go.
Well, thank you for that correction there from chat. Thank you, James. So, yeah, still plenty of racing still to go. 6 minutes down of the 1 hour race. We are a sunset race here. It does look fairly dark. Headlights glowing like the proverbial fireflies that are famous for Florida is famous for, I should say. But Piers Berry certainly is a pro driver, and he looks every bit a pro driver here in P6 as well.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Doing a fantastic job to keep Paul Robson behind. But is he going to get this move done? He's going to go take the inside here as well. And it looks like Paul Robson is going to give it up. He's given the inside line up, and that's not the way you do it. I have to say, if you kept that inside line there, you would have held on to the position almost certainly. I get the feeling that he just didn't want to defend that one too hard, as somebody looks like they've had enough. So yeah, Paul Robson, sorry, overtakes Piers Berry. Apologies. Nathan Crook, though, also looking to get a move done as we come around the first right-hander of Rodriguez International Horseshoe, and he gets the move done there on the Porsche behind of Aaron Kirby. Joe Glass. I need to have a cup of tea, I think. I need to wake up a little bit. It's been a long day for me. But what a tight fight we've got here. Top 5, almost within a second between all 5 of them. Not much time separating them at all. And they're already starting to catch up to a little bit of traffic after the people who have pitted ahead. Doing very well to get out of the way, going high at the oval sector. And letting all of these cars go through nicely. And here, Cox again, very, very close to the back of Ewan's Ditchby, but just backs off. He doesn't even want to make the overtake. He's happy to just follow in Ewan's footsteps and just let him plough a road. But how long before Tristan Nebrega gets bored of that and sends one on Peter Cox? He looks very close now after Peter Cox has kind of left it off a little bit too early there, giving himself too much breathing room, and maybe he's going to open the door here to Tristan. What do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, that's one person you don't want to be leaving the door open to, because Tristan's going to be burgling that one, as James would say. And Tristan's going to put the pressure on right now. And is he going to send it around the outside? That's going to be bold and brave. Is he going to get a little bit of a toe, actually, as well?
It's side by side at turn 1, but he doesn't get the move done. And Paul Cowlishaw had to check very hard there to not hit the back of Tristan Nebrega. But that goes to show how difficult it is to get a move done around the outside there in turn 1. And here in the infield, there's not much of an opportunity to make any overtakes here. Pretty much only one line as you come through. But look at this, the traffic that these guys have got ahead of them now, causing them problems. And Ewan Dishbury is going to have to get through these quickly and hope that some of the guys behind get stuck.
Yeah, that traffic's already going to come back and play, of course, after this first lap incidents, and they're catching them at a rapid pace, and that's going to be something that's going to bring into almost like an endurance race as it is in the moment. There's contact as well too between, that's Paul and Tristan. Taps him on the back. Now Paul's probably going to back off at the moment and say my bad, but he doesn't want to be compromising Zelinkas, of course, last season's champion, going to be straight on by there. Perhaps Paul doesn't like to yield up a position, but at this point you definitely know that he's made an accidental contact. We see this sportsmanship a lot in this fantastic racing, and there's another example of it.
We certainly do, yeah. And but unfortunately for Cowlishaw, he's lost out a position to Zelinskas there as well, who gets himself up to P3 because of that little concertina effect there as they came into turn 6 and 7. A very, very tricky corner to get right, so narrow, so tough to get the exit right as well. It's all about that exit as well, because turns 8 and 9 are just part of the oval, and looks like that's not gone Cowlishaw's way. Paul Robson now on his inside, and I wonder if he's going to get that position there as well. He's going to get the toe from Tristan ahead, and this could be job done. He's got the inside line, and Paul Cowlishaw cannot cut his nose off
three
here.
abreast now. Oh, we can't get 3 abreast into the turn 1 and 2. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, he's
both.
Wow!
What a job!
What an amazing move there from Paul Robson. That was absolutely fantastic racing from him there. He showed absolute giant balls there to keep that there on the inside. But that shows how powerful that inside line there is into turn 1. And he just said, no, I'm not backing out of this. You guys can back out. Wow. And they just moved as hard like the Red Sea, didn't they?
Interview with James Hunt back in Formula 1 a while ago. They say, well, why are you so fast? Why are you so quick as a race driver? And he goes, big balls. Simple as that. And that's exactly what that is. Matthew now putting the pressure on the back there of Pierce. Of course, the new driver that we just mentioned, Pierce Berry, who is in a pro class. We all know Matthew himself likes to hang out with the top guns of the pro class, and he's got these DXT Motorsports chief down there watching. And very, very proud of our Pro AM driver, who's currently in P9. Joe Glass down at P14 in his class. They're battling against each other.
Yeah, Robbie, sim racer in the chat says great commitment there to get that move done by Paul. It was an absolutely fantastic move, I've got to say. I cannot praise that man enough for the bravery he showed there into turn 1. Turn 1, an absolute nightmare at this track. But it's very difficult to overtake at this track as well. It tends to become a bit of a train. We've got more action here, though, with Cowlishaw trying to go around the outside of Tristan Nebrega, and he's catching him. He's catching him very slowly there. Got not much time left before the end of the straight, though, and
his teammate's
Tristan's gone at the pits.
Yep, sorry, yep. And that's going to allow Luke now to bring it to Paul, and he has, so there it is. So Paul's just lost another place to the teammate there of the South African team. And
I'm very curious. I'm very curious there. Sorry, no. I'm very curious there as to whether or not that was a little bit of teamwork there from the South African team in giving his teammate the toe and giving him the inside line, because Cowdershaw could not sweep across because he was already there, Luke Lucchese. So I wonder if that was a little bit of teamwork, but I'm wondering also whether or not Tristan Nobrega has a little bit of damage after that contact into turn 7 and 6 and needs to pit early to get rid of that. I do not think he's going to be able to do a full stint till the end here either, because we get 50 litres of fuel, and I don't think that's going to go 45 minutes.
Look at these two. They're back into 21, 26, but they're just yielding left and right. Look at this. It's a great battle between Christian Keaton and Jamal. Go for it tooth and nail. Look at the speed differences between them. You can see one of the cars, and the Porsche's got so much more entry and exit speed, and then as soon as the loud pedal gets hit there from Jamal, he's out of there, and Chris has got
bit of a swapper there from the Porsche coming out of turn 7. Such a tricky corner to get right, that one, but I get the feeling that the Porsche, just given the nature of this track and the lack of real high speed tight corners, that the Porsche might do very well here. It does very well in the mid speed and the low speed corners, and there's plenty of those to get right here. But the Porsche, as everybody knows, is always around a millimetre away from murdering you at any given moment. We've got Nathan Crook here with Joe Glass all over his tail in the Porsche as well, and it looks like he's forcing him to go the long way around. But is Joe Glass going to be able to get this done around the outside? It's down into, I believe this is going to be the chicane. Sorry, no, it's turn 1. It was just crossed the start-finish line, and look how powerful this inside line is. It's just no contest if you've got the inside line, and as long as you get the car stopped, you'll be able to park it there on the apex. And that's the trouble with this track as well, is that when you're fighting somebody, you're fighting down into turn 1, you've got the outside line, it opens the door wide open for the man behind you to have a go at you. And there's the BMW going down the inside in turn 2 and 3. And that is almost job done for him there, for Danny Svitzer, but he doesn't quite manage to get it done. But here we've got more traffic, and these lap cars, these blue flags, are causing mayhem for these drivers as they're trying to battle with each other. They've got the traffic to think about as well, and this is not making it easy with that blinking BMW there in the black and red livery that may be causing a bit of a heart attack for a couple of those drivers as he pops back in right in front of one of the two of them.
Is Peter Cox there again? Is he still happy to stay in P2 that he has been the whole time? Maybe he's saving a little bit more fuel there, keeping an eye on, making sure that Stitchberry does not get too far up the road, because they're starting to get a 2-second gap there to our season 1 champion. And in a little bit of a league of their, well, not really a league of their own just yet, but we have 15 minutes into this race, lots of racing to go. Yep, pit stops for these two drivers. Do you think Peter's just happy to sit back and relax in the gearbox there, or is he ready to make a pounce now?
I think he might be onto something. I think he's maybe saving his tyres, saving the fuel, and maybe trying to go a little bit longer than Ewan can and win the race that way. It's obviously Ewan's going to fight tooth and nail to hang on to that position if he can. Everybody wants to be leading the race if possible. But Peter Cox is showing here that he's definitely got some immense pace here at Daytona. 2,500 his I rating, and he's mixing it up with drivers who have got a good 600-700 more I rating than he does. But of course, I rating means nothing when you're wheel to wheel. Nobody cares about that I rating. It's just a fanciful number that you use to impress people at parties with. When you're on the track, all that matters is who's ahead.
Yep. And what matters at the moment is these two positions. So look at this driver here at the moment. Jamal, I can't pronounce his surname. You might have helped me out that one there. Gandua has 17 positions gained at the moment. What? Obviously, his qualifying performance didn't quite deliver what he wanted, but his racecraft, where you earn the big points, of course, is making it work. 17 positions, about to be looking at making it 18 positions if he can get past Hussein up the road there. Look at that, just can break so much more earlier into the corner, can he? But then he gets on the gas there, and he's just twitched there. Maybe a little bit of a commentator's spotlight there, and throwing him off a little bit if he's listening to the broadcast. Say hello, of course. Don't take your hands off the steering wheel and give us a wave, but just keep your eyes glued on the track, please.
Certainly is, and he's doing a fantastic job here today. He's shown in spells that he's definitely got some pace behind that wheel, but he certainly has struggled in terms of championship points so far. Gets into a couple of incidents here and there. Here's Aaron Kirby as well, also trying to make his way up through the field. Going
back to this for a second, but I just want to see if he's going to make this yield, No, you keep teasing us, Sarah, switching that camera over there for your partner, and then you're not making the overtake. So now we're going to switch back to this one. Let's see whether or not Aaron can make it on Matt Parnett.
Certainly trying everything he can. He switches to the inside, gets his nose cut off into turn 1. Too late to make the lunge there, but he certainly seems to have a fair bit of pace. But if Matt Barnett can get the toe from the cars in front, he's going to make that all the more difficult for Kirby there. Kirby down at P10 will look to get more positions before the end of this race, because he is definitely in with a shout of fighting for this championship. Currently in P2, right behind Tristan Dinabrega, who's pit early and is well down the order, down in P24. Yeah. Of course, he will jump plenty of those positions when everybody ahead of him has to pit, as Jeremy Ulemans is already in the pits early. 18 minutes on the clock there. I'm wondering whether or not he will be able to go to the end. A 40-minute stint doesn't seem too outlandish, but I'm afraid I have not done any running at Daytona because I do not own the track, so I don't know how long the fuel lasts.
Oh, well, let's just switch it. I think halfway through the race we'll switch it over to a full oval, and we'll see how they pan out for the rest of it. Why not dynamically changing the track during the race? Anyway, these two are going at it. That's going to help Matthew Hoyland, who's leading this class, because Danny's battling it out with Joe Glass. We all know that Joe Glass loves the camera. He loves the spotlight. Every single race is always into it. But we'll switch over to a battle that's resuming currently at the moment for P4 and P5 between, we all know, the South African Wonder Mine there, and he's got Paul Robertson, who's been, as we saw before, didn't he, making a fantastic overtake. But it looks like Paul's going to have to yield this one back now.
Certainly is, but he's doing things right as it stands. Paul Robson obviously had that fantastic overtake on these two earlier, but he's lost that position again. But down into turn 1 they go again, and it's going to be another 3 wide. Paul Robson maybe thinking about sticking his nose in between them. That would have been a very bad idea, but maybe he can get it done on the outside, but not quite. No, just not enough grip on that outside line there. Getting on the inside, it looks like Cowlishaw's giving him the position back. I'm wondering if there's something gone on there off camera between them, maybe a bit of contact, or maybe he just wants to not fight this particularly hard. Maybe these guys are probably thinking, especially at this track where it's so hard to overtake, Peter Cox has definitely got that in the back of his mind. Just hang on to the back of Ewan and work together to create that gap to Auramas. These guys might start thinking about doing the same if they want to work together to try and catch those guys ahead. But Luke Lucchese currently absolutely rapid. Fastest man on track though is Auramas Valinskas with a 144 flat in the race, and that was good enough for Pole almost. I mean, he's almost a 144.1 with his time. It's a 0.097, so you wouldn't quite have got Pole, but it definitely would have been top 3 or 4 if he'd done that in qualifying. But he's definitely got more pace in his locker. Cox now, is he going to go for it? He's looking now. He's starting to look, show in the mirrors. But that chicane, definitely not an easy place to overtake. So easy, especially to get on the outside.
Hang on, you're going to tilt your head to the left, because that is the elevation, isn't it, when you see this? It just makes you think, wow, look at that. Like, if I was a passenger riding right now, I'd be looking completely down at Peter Cox, and Peter Cox is going to go into pit road right now, slam on the brakes as he drops it down into gear, make sure you get a speed in pit road, and he's going to actually go straight down into that. I believe you shouldn't really do that. You should actually go on the outside and then switch into your pit box. But, however, any driver you want to do that. The only confusing part is, of course, is he has to spot his braking marker right now where the pit boards are. We won't see it on the screen, but he has to spot it there perfectly with the other car. They had to reverse up a little bit too, as well, to compromise a little bit, and that's...
Yeah, that could cost you Sishwi big time. That's a huge mistake from him. Missing his pit box, has to stop and reverse. Maybe Cox can get past them here in this pit stop, but it's interesting to see that Cox and Ewan are coming in at the same time. Auramas stayed out, Paul Robson stayed out, everybody else has come into the pits for this earlier stop, and but Peter Cox saving so much fuel behind Ewan Stitchby there, saving his tyres, and he comes in at the same time. Bit of an odd one there, but he has jumped Ewan Stitchby in the pits because of that mistake from Ewan, and look at that, he's still there, he's just leaving now. So big mistake from Ewan, and it could cost him the win here, because that's going to be a big gap now between him and Peter Cox. And Peter Cox, as long as he's got that pace, and he certainly seemed to have it, all he needs to do now is keep his race clean, and he should hopefully be able to pull away from these guys, race his own race. He definitely seemed that he was quicker than Ewan. He was keeping up with him, no problem, even with lifting and coasting. And as DXD Rob Simracer in chat says, will Cox be waiting in the tow to save fuel and extend the stint? Pretty sure he was, but he hadn't extended it in the end, but he's got the position anyway.
And we saw that actually from on board, didn't we? Like, what happens when you miss your pit box by just a little bit. It's very, very difficult. You have a lollipop man. We don't see it, unfortunately, in the broadcaster cam version of it, but they have a lollipop man. That's what I thought. It was even more difficult, isn't it, if you're following a car into pit road. And here it is. So our current race leader, is it by staying out a couple laps, Paul's going to follow him in. Now, by staying out a lap or two longer, is that going to cover off Peter Cox? Where's Peter Cox at the moment? There he is. Currently coming down the back stretch. He has to put that little kink chicanes in there, of course, so it'll slow him down a little bit. And then he's on the gas all the way after that. So it's all about this importance, isn't it? Spotting this perfectly, slicing it through like fine cheese, and then get on the loud pedal, and then go, go, go. Well, Zelinka, of course, is still in pit road. Paul's still in pit road. So how's this going to pan out? We shall find out in just a minute. There's Peter.
They're averaging about 30 to 35 seconds in the pit box, in the pit road. And it looks as though maybe he's going to get them. He should do. He was already had a 3-second gap over them as well. Interesting thing is whether or not Ewan Stitchbury's now going to find himself in a new fight. There's Auramas coming out as it stands. Ewan Stitchbury coming round and into turn 1. It could be that Ewan's going to lose out to Auramas here as well. It looks like he may well have done. And Paul Robson could be in the mix with Ewan here as well. Luke Lucchese, of course, very rapid, could now be in the mix. This isn't over by a long shot. Gaps are starting to form, however, but Tristan de Nobrega has already got himself back up to P7 after his early tangle, and that's going to be interesting. He's already pitted early as well. He's now gained all those positions because he pitted early. I wonder whether or not he's going to have to do another pit stop, and if he does, that means he's going to lose a lot of points in this championship, and with his closest rival being Aaron Kirby, he needs to focus on just beating him today, I think.
Well, guess who he's behind as well too? Paul Collishaw, who is not a driver we all know, a very, very defensive driver, a very man that does not allow overtakings left and right. He's like, if you get past me, we all know you have to get it past with the best possible way. So that's going to hold him up a little bit. If he has more pace over Paul, that is, if he has more pace over Paul, he has to obviously get it done on track there and overtake him. But here it is, the battle for Luca, who's coming out of the pit road there and tucked up behind Paul. So they've still gained 3 and 6 positions each, looking to gain some more. 25 minutes into it, so a quarter down, 3 quarters to go.
Look at this, we're seeing nobody is willing to make that move into the chicane. It's so dangerous. So you're relying so heavily on the man on the inside, well, the outside of the first corner, inside for the second two, not hitting the curb and pushing wide into you. And if they do push wide into you, it pretty much shoves you straight into a barrier, and that is pretty much race done. He's got past though, and he moves himself up into P6, does Tristan. Poor Cowdershaw doesn't seem to want to be battling that one too hard, but he realises that Tristan's just absolutely rapid, and he's got the inside line and ahead before turn 1 altogether. Poor Cowdershaw just didn't defend that at all, did he, really?
No, I think that's surprising considering Paul. But we'll have a look at just the replay of that one, because there was 2 overtakes at the same time going on, so we might just see that, just depending on the inside there. And should be Bob's your uncle. Yeah, live to see another day. You know that those two are going to be at it a little bit later on for sure. It always is the case as well as Paul. But Luca actually, did not get past Paul Robinson. Paul Robinson still hung off. Peter Cox leading this race by about 6 seconds. So fantastic job there for the man that was running in P2. Started in P2, now currently running in P1. And his main component, of course, that did start on pole, he is in P3. That pit stop strategy did not work out as planned. That mistake.
Yeah, Peter Cox will be very satisfied with this result if it stays this way. Currently not even in the top 12 in the championship, but I believe he has missed a few races at the start. He is coming mid-season, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but he's definitely showing what he's made of. The races that I have seen him racing, he's been there or thereabouts, but there are so many quick drivers here. He's doing a fantastic job so far. Luke Lucchese is on a charge at the moment, making his way through the crowds and getting positions. Yeah, he's going to go for that's a back-to-back marker. Beg your pardon. But he's going to catch up to Ewan Stitchbury, who obviously was the fastest man on track for qualifying. Started on pole and could well be in trouble if Luke Lucchese can get that pedal down and get Hammer Time playing in his ears. Bit of MC Hammer, and could be with him sooner rather than later. He's obviously got his teammate quickly collecting, quickly closing in on the back of Paul Robson as well. And I wonder whether or not there'll be any team orders between the two Ferrari drivers when they inevitably end up on track together. Because as we've seen so far from these two, Tristan de Brega may well be the #1 driver. He's definitely got more wins under his belt. Seems to have the pace over his teammate Luke. But news here, we've got Wesley Van Rens, who's out of the race. And we missed this earlier, but Rhys Saunders exited the race as well. He's currently 6 laps down. So the man in P3 in the championship will be getting no points today. It is, of course, a double points race this evening. 100 points up for grabs for the winner. But of course, ordinarily we've got 2 races at 50 points apiece. So it's not much different to a normal week race. But this one, it's hard to call because Peter Cox, he's definitely got some excellent pace here today. But the guys behind him, you look at them and you think, can he keep those guys behind? You're looking at last season's championship winner. You're looking at Ewan Stitchbury, who's been absolutely rapid all season. You've got Tristan de Brega behind as well. Can definitely pull something out of the bag, but may have to have another pit stop. Oh, we've got a Ferrari pointing the wrong way out of turn 1. That is not where you want to be. I'm wondering what's happened there.
It's Phil, and I think he's really struggling from blue. That he's really got a front end. Bingo. He says we brake for nobody. Well, unfortunately, the car has already broken. He broken it before earlier. This is the reason why. So
have a look to see what's happened here then. So down into turn 1. Get the feeling he's going to lose it under braking or something. And yeah, he just gets the loud pedal too quick. Ends up spinning into the barrier, and yeah, that's it's going to cost him plenty of positions. But Phil McConaughey in the pit lane, possibly using one of his fast repairs.
Yeah,
hopefully be able to get back out again. Look at
I don't think he can get into
major damage to that car.
He's struggling big time. Look at it crabbing. I think he's going to spin before he gets in there.
He's going to pull over and tow it now, isn't he? Yeah, he's had enough. Doesn't fancy trying to get that right back round to the pits. And I can't blame him because he's more likely to crash into somebody else and cause somebody else to have tears coming out of their eyes than he is to get it back. But let's have a look then at the championship standings here as we see Tristan de Brega going past Paul Robson there, down the inside into turn 2. What a move that was. And now Paul Cowlishaw might be looking at Paul Robson and thinking, that will look pretty easy. I might try that myself. But let's have a look then at the standings in class order. Peter Cox in P1, followed by Aurama Salinskas, Ewan Stitchbury following in P3, Luke Lucchese in P4, and Tristan de Brega in P5. But a battle there going on for that P5 position between him, Paul Robson and Paul Cowlishaw. And of course, Paul Robson and Paul Cowlishaw maybe having a little bit of afters after the crash they had in Hockenheim in the Mercedes corner last week. And Piers Berry fallen off these guys a little bit now, but he was in the mix earlier, up into P6 earlier, but still plenty of time to go. We're at a halfway point as we move on to the Pro-Am categories. Matthew Hoyland, it looks like he's tastily getting another win under his belt in the Pro-Am category. Joe Glass with P2 at the moment, and Richard Gregory behind in P3. Nicholas Newton with a solid P4, Danny Switzer behind in P5. In the Am category, it's Matt Barnett, followed by Nathan Crook, and Chris Keenan in P3. Doing a fantastic job to regain some of his early form after winning the first 2 races of the season in round 1. John Ludbrook and Richard Knight follow behind in P5 and 4 respectively. It's a tasty race this, lots going on. Ordinarily Daytona can be a bit of a bore fest at times because it is such a trainy track. Very hard to make the overtakes, but we've had plenty of action here today, Biggles.
It's no bore fest that we've seen in Evolution Sim Racing, I guess, and sometimes in other leagues and other classes and stuff you get that, but when you have this many cars and this many classes in play there, you know, the lap traffic and everything comes in there, gives you opportunities to try to seize overtaking regularly. I'd say if this is all one class, of course, of racing, then yeah, it might be a little bit more predictable, but because we have those different classes and those different battles going on, it's much more exciting. Hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there. We are reading those comments, those messages in your comments when we can about Will Cox be waiting in the top to save fuel and extend his stint and things like that as well too. Sorry, the little
that gap starting to come down massive there. He's, Peter Cox has just lost 3 or 4 tenths, but then he's regaining it again already. So it's not a foregone conclusion this for Peter Cox. He's got to keep his focus. He has to keep the car on the track. And Daytona definitely has a few areas where it's very easy to lose it on your own. There's a couple of curbs that definitely cause problems, and there's a couple of, especially that exit to that chicane on the back straight, very, very easy to get a slowdown there. And we all know what slowdowns on iRacing are like. It says slow down, give back 2 seconds, and you're giving back 5, and it still says a second. And you're sitting there screaming at your screen, saying, I've done it, and it carries on, saying, no, you haven't. Spa.
I was going to say, Paul's going to go for it here at the moment. Yeah, it could be worse, mate. You could be measuring the plank size underneath the car later, right? And then getting disqualified. So look at that. Paul's really fighting with the machine at the moment there in the dirty air currently at the moment of Paul Robertson. So the battle of the poles for 6 and 7. And all just hanging on to the back there of Trishan, who is currently leading the Pros Drivers Championship.
Cox have a gap to come down under 5 seconds again. Aaron Masalinskas is going to be thinking that maybe he's got the ability to chip away lap by lap at that 5 second gap, but 5 seconds can sometimes feel like an absolute age. But if Aaron Mas can get into the point where he can see Peter on his the same bit of racetrack as him, and if Peter gets maybe caught up by a bit of traffic at the wrong time, it may be that 4.5 seconds, 4.8 seconds disappears in rapid fashion. We've got a lot of chat come through there. We'll take a couple of seconds to catch up with that. Nope, destroyed yet again, says Ashley Brooks. He's out of the race, as is Mark Robinson as well. He'll be disappointed with that. The man who is in P2 in the championship, gaining no points here. Ashley Brooks P8, be disappointed with that finish as well. Got caught in every bit of chaos.
I'm going to have a look at that one, Ashley, just going back at the start there. So I guess that's a little bit before that for sure there.
He gets punted from behind. He gets pit maneuvered by Reece Saunders there again. And he collects another person there.
Oh, Ashley, you must feel like you're in a ping pong machine at that point, aren't you? Look at that. And then you finally get T-boned by somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to kind of laugh about that one off here in the casting.
I mean, if you don't laugh at that, you've got to cry, haven't you? And
not too much.
That's a tough one to take. He gets in, he gets the fast repair done, he gets back out, and then he gets into more bother later on in the race. I'm guessing after he gets destroyed. As well, he says he gets caught in every bit of chaos. I imagine there was a bit more. He says he's actually getting frustrated to a point to say, I don't even want to finish the season now.
Actually, it's easy, my friend. I tell you, I always tell this to drivers, the easiest way to avoid that is to put your car on pole. And then, if you're on pole, you don't have to worry about anything up the road from happening. Maybe somebody T-bone getting you from behind, but that's about it. Look at me saying, you need to get up to the top there. You know how difficult it is with this.
You don't think that's maybe a bit of a tall order for an AM driver in this in this kind of field? I think
maybe start from last and then work your way through up the field there as well too.
I mean, and then you've got to get through. Then you've got to get through the world's hardest obstacle course in turn 1. Obviously, we saw several drivers not being able to manage that. But at the moment, it's Aaron Masalinskas put in a 144 flat, a 144.4 last lap. It's a 145.1 last lap from Peter Cox. So he's managed to chip away 0.6 at that gap there. Is Aramas going to be able to reel Peter Cox in before the end of this race? It's certainly looking odds on. Paul Cowdershaw and Paul Robson is still within 1/10 of each other as well, as these guys are going to be so similar on pace. Paul Robson bending the inside now. Don't think he's going to be able to get it done around the outside. It's just so hard to get a move done around the outside here at turn 1. But Cowdershaw is... He's got nowhere else to go. He's going to try it. He's going to sweep around the outside, gets it done just about ahead before he turned in there. And that is a very tough move to pull off. So kudos to Paul there, and kudos to Paul Robson behind for not trying to keep his nose in there and taking them out. Can you see the one from a few laps ago? We'll try and get it for you. He came off track to let lapping cars go by and got full-blown T-boned. So even off the track, you're not out of danger, according to Ashley Brooks. But I would certainly say it definitely can get frustrating when you get taken out lap after lap and or race after race. But the only way you're going to learn is by keeping your nose in it. And that's a spin there for somebody in turn 1.
Oh, sorry, that's how we go back to that one. Anyway, yes.
Looks like somebody caught the barrier on the inside there, just getting a bit too close, trying to get too close to the limit, and finds out that there are limits to limits. And that BMW disappearing once more. It's Jeremy Ulemans there disappearing in front of Hussein Sarakar Tesla.
Scotty says lost it here. Let's have a look. Joseph,
Joseph Sparrow in that beautiful livery. Just carries too much speed, doesn't he? Right back end, going faster than the front end. Always difficult to stay in control of that. Yeah. Here's Stephen Cakebread on a replay as well with a Red Bull livery car. And there's been a running joke in iRacing, and yeah, you just clonked that. I mean, well done at that Porsche to stop that car in time. I think he saw it coming, didn't he? He just saw that coming. But there is a bit of a running joke in iRacing, especially on the Reddit forums as well, that if you're going to get hit by anybody, it's going to be somebody in a Red Bull livery. So that barrier certainly learned that one the hard way today. But yeah.
Joseph sitting there going left and right, trying to dummy Mr. Nathan Cook into a position there, but Nathan's holding on to his top guns. Remember, they're in different, they're in different classes as well too. Currently at the moment.
Oh, a late lunge! A late lunge. Crook goes deep and ends up opening the door there for the Racing Point livery driver, and he says thank you very much and sweeps on through, and he should hopefully be able to make a gap now and take that position for good.
And we've seen Nathan do that before, haven't we? And we've seen the aggressive AM drivers which are doing the right thing. You know, once again, they're not allowing the pro or pro AM drivers just to squeeze on by. They're making them have to earn their paychecks on the track there, because why not? Once again, the AM drivers, just because they're in a slower category, doesn't mean they have to just move over and allow anybody through. Because you've got to look at Matt Barnett. I mean, he's up in P10 currently at the moment. Look at that solid performance for another AM driver. Got a bit of a free track up the road there, so he can just get his head down and get on with it.
We've got Cakebread and Svitzer in the pit as well. I'm guessing that's going to be their last stop. I'm wondering if a couple of people maybe going to have to do a second stop. Tristan de Nebrega is most likely to have to stop again. I don't know if he's going to have the fuel to be able to get to the end of this race, but this is a battle for the ages, this one, isn't it? These guys had contact last time out because they were so similar paced in Hockenheim, and we're here again at Daytona with these guys battling tooth and nail, lap after lap. Cowlishaw did get past with a move round to the outside turn one last lap, and he's left a very small gap there on the inside for Robson to try and squeeze through, but thought better of it, I'm sure. Didn't think that was a big enough gap to go for myself, but these guys are so similar on pace, and it's given us plenty of action to look at. Whoa! Paul Cowlishaw's had a big swapper there and had to slam on the brakes. Did Paul Robson in order to not collect him. He's done very, very well there to not lose the car himself. Very, very easy to do so if you're braking mid-corner like that. I bet you that was. I bet there's a stain in his pants right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Code Brown, of course. Yeah. Well, he's still got a bit of time to go on this race. 40 minutes down, so we got 20 and change. Once again, we don't know how much fuel management is going on now between these drivers. It seems to me that Paul's under a little bit more pressure now, as you could see, because he did drop a couple of places. We know he had the pace, and maybe he's trying to just conserve it as much as possible, just see how to eke the gas tank out and pan it a little bit later. There's Pierce Ferry as well too, just on the background of them, lurking onto the back there, happening to slipstream and joining this two-way party into a three-way party. Why not? Party for everybody. Who else wants to join? Matthew, you're about 3 seconds to change down the road. You never know, Matthew has joined those parties later on in the race, but at the moment he's happy to still be in the lead of the Pro AMs.
And these guys start battling hard as well, and we've seen them battling hard all race so far, and that could open the door for him to catch them. But Matthew Ireland in the interviews last week did say that he generally leaves these guys to their own devices. He doesn't want to get involved in wheel-to-wheel racing. I'm wondering whether or not Mr. Ludbrook actually went deep into that turn one corner on purpose in order to open the door.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Live on board the cameras.
Whoa.
Lucky that Paul allowed him just enough a space there, because you're going to have a big tyre barrier to remember to your left there. So he's going to be shoved into that big time there. But good there for Paul to allow just enough room, while Paul's also looking up the road there for the other Paul to battle with. So mirror racing, forwards, backwards and everywhere. Great racing, you'd have to give it to that. Both of the South Africans are also battling each other a little bit further on the back there of Stitchberry now. So that's another little one that's growing up there. Fantastic racing. Hope you've just tuned in or not. This is great. This is our second 1 hour race of the season that we're having here. And this one, of course, is in the famous and the classical Daytona.
Yeah, home of NASCAR. Well, season opener of NASCAR. I don't know if it's the home of NASCAR. There's another place that's the home of NASCAR, I should say. But Luke Casey up to P4 and has caught up to the back of Ewan Stitchbury. And the gap between him and his teammate, Tristan de Nobrega, as well, has come right down. But this is such a problem for these drivers because a two-way battle, easily defended. You just defend the inside into turn 1. But when there's 3 cars in that, they're going to gang up on him. Yeah, it's going to be so difficult for you to keep hold of these 2 guys behind, and these 2 guys will be on voice comms together and talking to each other, because when you get pushed to the outside line into turn 1, it opens the door for the guy behind you in this 3-way battle. Look at this, he's team orders, and he's giving the position here to Tristan de Nobrega, saying, you have it, you go, it's Ewan, and you get us both past him. Force him off the line. This is maybe going to work in their favour. This is fantastic teamwork on the side. Oh, there's the dive. There's the lunge, and he's really gone for it as well. What a lunge as well. He left his door open. He got burgled, and
he's come back,
he's taking his pants. Taking his pants off, and he's coming back. Yep. Oh my God, is he going to be able to get this done on the outside? He's got the inside line to the hairpin here, and Tristan is going to hold it.
On the switcher, his teammate's going to block him through it.
There's his teammate going through. Wow, what teamwork that is. He's done a fantastic job to help his teammate, but now turn 6 and 7, you do not want to be on the outside here. The inside line is going to get you shoved into a barrier if you get it wrong. Is Luke going to be able to get this done as they come round now? Sorry, towards turn 6 and 7, that's 4 and 5.
Wow.
And it's going to have to be in the single file before they get to this corner, and they have managed to sort it out, but what racing there from the 2 South Africans. They've done an absolutely fantastic job to work their way past Ewan, and did it so aggressively as well. That lunge into turn 1 from Tristan de Nobrega was something to behold. He really took no prisoners there.
That is absolutely amazing. That is called teamwork racing now. It's going to be obviously, look at that, slices up the inside. This is a replay at the moment there. This is where he comes back. He says, all right, you haven't got me yet, but then look at this, the play. The teammate's going to come in at the back there. So Luke is going to come in. Look at, he's probably going, Trisha's going to go a little bit slower here, just get the inside there, and then force Stitchbury off. And then Stitchbury's at the moment, you've got to feel like, hey, you know, I'm being bullied in the playground here. He's doing his absolute best to hold on, absolutely best, but with that, the South Africans are doing it perfectly because there's a block up the road there from Tristan, and he got nowhere to go on the outside. Tristan slows down a little bit, so he can't get the exit speed. It's perfect, and this fight's not over. Back to live pitches. Look at this, and I'm going for Stitchbury. Of course, he's going to have to barge his way through this too. He's not giving up at the moment. He says, hey, you know what happens to bullies? Bullies get sent to detention, my friend. And look at that. Looks like he's had the lift off completely. Yeah.
He's given it back. He thought that, you would maybe get a penalty if you didn't. Bit of contact there. Pushed Luke back a little wide in turn 1. I thought that was probably hard but fair racing. He left enough space on the outside there, but obviously behind the wheel it's hard to tell exactly how much space you've left, and if there was contact that pushed the other driver off. Very good sportsmanship, as always. We see this a lot in Evolution Sim Racing, these guys giving back positions if they feel they've done something wrong, and I would love to see that kind of thing. But this isn't over. Like you say, he's standing up to these bullies, but Tristan, he's just too big. He's maybe just pick on the smaller bully and try and pick him off first, and then see if you can maybe take on the 6'7" monster of Tristan de Nobrega. But
how do you know how tall he is?
Honestly, just using Tyson Fury's height, to be honest. I recently found out how tall he was. I did not believe that he was actually 6'7", absolute monster of a man. But of course, got to be if you want to be the champion, heavyweight champion of the world. But heavyweight bout we've got here, and what a bout it is between these guys as well. There may have been something happening between Cowlishaw and Paul Robson, because Cowlishaw is now 1.5 seconds behind Robson, and still has Piers Berry for company. So I'm wondering whether Paul Robson has managed to pull that gap, or whether there was a...
No, I think Paul's been dropping lap by lap. Paul's been dropping. He's in the 45s, and a lot of people in the 44s. So I think he's on a different strategy, because we know Paul has the pace. I just think he's fuel saving at the moment. He's under pressure at the moment, because you saw him drop a couple places when he was keeping up with everybody else, no problems. Remember, he was battling it out with the South Africans further. Look at there, South Africans in 3rd and 4th. He's now trying to hold on to P7. We'll see if anybody has to do a splash and dash at the end there, and then Paul might come back and go, get a big smile on his face going, well, see, it did pay off. We don't know just yet. It's still early days. Getting closer, of course, 10 minutes ago. And of course, back to that reference, of course, they're not bullies. we're just using that term. I think they're master strategians, I think it is, working together as teammates is a great way. And that's where Stitchberry is probably going to visit and go, where's my teammate? I need you to help me out right now and do the same thing in the future. Well, what goes around comes around. We'll see. But Zelenka's, of course, Season 1 champion, is 2.2 down the road, slowly reeling in Peter Cox. Peter Cox's race win at the moment is definitely not signed, sealed, and delivered yet.
Certainly isn't. In the last 15 minutes, he's managed to close 2 seconds of that 4-second gap that he had to Peter Cox. Aramas has, and there's 2 seconds remaining on that, and another 15 minutes to go, roughly. So it's not over yet for the race win. But Peter Cox, all he has to do is stay focused, keep it on track, and if he does catch him, keep that inside line covered into turn 1. And stay calm, cool, and collected. He cannot lose his head at this stage after leading the race for so long. Doing so well. Luke Lucchese all over the back of his teammate. I don't think they're going to swap positions again, though. I think they're probably going to carry on, but maybe they are going to swap. It's fastest lap there for Luke Lucchese, and he does go past. I wonder if Tristan de Brega has to go back into the pits, because he did pit very early in this race. Maybe he's got to do a splash and dash, and that's why he's letting his teammate past. They work together with those mega tactics, as Rob Simracer in chat says, to get past Ewan, and now they've dropped him.
I think you're right. That lap 7, he boxed. That's a lot of gasoline to take in, and considering the pace he had, it's quite remarkable. But then again, he is a remarkable driver, haven't we seen this season? So if anybody can pull it off, he can. It's just really unfortunate that Reece Saunders isn't here as well too. He's the master pit lane tactician, isn't he? And obviously their first. I'm just a little disappointed in you, Reece, if you're listening. You shouldn't have given up so early, mate. It was very, very early in the race. You never know what's going to happen. You at least get and the man that can fight back more than almost anybody else in the race, right?
I mean, I've seen all sorts of things happen in racing. I've seen huge pile-ups in the last 10 minutes that take out everybody else, and the man at the back just dodged it all and gets through cleanly. We've got Matthew Jones in the pit lane as well. And you're asking, where is his teammate? Ewan Stishby's teammate is Jamal Gandua, and he's down in P25 overall. I think it's around
right here,
P13 in class. But a number of drivers out this week as well. Some maybe people just not enjoying this track so much. It's a tough track to get right, and the slowdown out of that chicane is enough to cause anybody to go postal. Let's go HYR, says Toki Joe.
That's Matt.
Great to see that.
And look at that.
That's Matt Bonnet and Jeremy Ulemans. Yeah.
Matt leading his class right there. Perfect. At the moment, that's all you can do. And Jeremy a little bit further down, of course. He's overall, obviously, in the class there. He's P17 overall. He's 11th over in class. So still getting points. That's all that counts at the end of the day, to see Barney get the job done there. It's practice as well, too. So even if you don't really like this circuit so much, and Daytona, at least you're putting the laps in. You got 30 on under your belt and a few more to go, and that's just a little bit more practice. And at some point, you feel, I've actually felt, and you probably have in the past there too, Stephen, that the more sometimes you get used to a track that you don't like, you end up sometimes falling in love with it secretly. And you go, you know what, it's not so bad after all. And then you get better and quicker, and then get used to it. It's just adjusting. People don't like, we all know, adjusting to strange things that are uncomfortable at first. After a while, you just fall in love with it.
For me, that was Hungaroring. I absolutely despised the track the first few times I went around it, and now that I've gotten used to it and figured it out, especially that twisty middle sector, it's all about preparing for the next corner instead of the one that you're actually in. Once you get used to that, it kind of clicks, and it becomes one of the best racetracks around. Two South Africans, though, absolutely fantastic job here. They've remained in position, though, and I'm wondering now whether or not this is because Tristan de Brega needs to lift and coast in order to get to the end after pitting on lap 7, 5 laps earlier than the majority of the rest of the field. This is interesting as well for Matt Bonnet, in that Mark Robinson, his closest rival in the championship, only 11 points behind him, is out of this race and will not get any points at all. So he's going to gain 100 points over P2 in the championship. But John Ludbrook is still in the fight, and he will gain some big points.
I saw somebody sliding off in the background there. I wasn't quite sure what it was. It was Stefan. And
Stefan
just
Bauer,
in the
maybe,
background there, we saw that. Just you see those other cars up the road. Oh, there it is. So just loses it, goes straight off, and that's the good thing about it. You can mow the lawn up there all you like there for the Portuguese driver, no doubt. You can see there with the livery. So it comes back on a track. It should be okay. It's classed that as a crash. Essentially, it's just an off-track excursion, unless he loses it again. Actually, he does here. Actually, this is what happens. He gets out of the way, or he gets, to get out of the way. There is your two race drivers we're looking at the moment. And then just pulls off the side there, actually. That's all that was at that point. So very, very, that's what it's caught coming back on the track slowly. And then you got these drivers that we're watching the pictures right now, flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to do their best to take P3. And I think Zelenka's might have given up at this point, mate. He's got 2 seconds down the road there. That's a lot to take in 7 minutes here in Daytona.
I have to say, Joe Glass, you mentioned him a couple of times last week. What an improvement he is showing after the race starts. The first 4 rounds, he was P18, P17, P19, P17. The last 3 rounds, P4, P7, P1. And now he's in P2 for this one as well. So that is some turnaround for Joe Glass. He will be rising up the order in that Pro-Am category at a rapid pace, and showing that it's never over until the fat lady sings. We're going to have a bit of a battle here again through Ewan Stitchbury and Tristan Dinabrega. Luke Lucchese has had an incident somewhere and lost out, but these two are back at it again. And we've seen them fight already, but he's sandwiched between the two South Africans. They've already shown that they can work as a team. Looking maybe for the lunge there into the hairpin. Rodriguez hairpin there is Ewan Stitchbury, but maybe just trying to put the willies up Tristan Dinabrega, but he's wise to that. He's too experienced to fall for that. And but this is going to carry on until the very end. I think we've got 6 minutes remaining here. Auramas Salinskas has not been able to chip away any more at that 2 second gap. So it looks like Peter Cox has maybe done just about enough to win his first race in Evolution Sim Racing.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely fantastic for him. Look at this, Stitchbury, remember, he's got to push Trishan to the absolute limit here because we don't know Trishan's fuel load. He boxed on lap 7. So you know for a fact that that's got to be very, very pushing to the limit here. And all Stitchbury has to do here, mate, is just push, keep pushing him. He's also got to look behind because you know that Luke can easily snatch one up there or try to send one on the inside. He's already had the battle both of these drivers before, and he's in it again. We'll go back further in a minute because we've got Paul's again at it, as well as Pierce Berry. So this is another battle that's continuing. It's all happening and heated up here, essentially in the pro class. We do have a little battle, of course, in the pro AM class, but the pros are at it today. They're still in the hotlights. Remember last week, I think it was the AMs that were in the spotlight, the challenge. At the moment, this is where it's at. Look at that. Battle for P3, battle for P6. It's all here. And it's live.
It certainly is. And I'm willing to bet as Ewan Stitchbury is looking maybe to go at Tristan Dinabrega, but doesn't get it done. But we've got a very tight battle here between Cowlishaw and Robson yet again. And Cowlishaw gets it done. Goes for the switchback, but gets the door shut on him. That was slammed in his face there from Cowlishaw. He's finally sharpened his elbows up, and there is Luke Lucchese getting past Ewan Stitchbury as well. And that is the danger of turn 1. If you are trying to go for the attack on the driver in front of you, there's a driver behind you within earshot, he can send it on you and get that inside line. That is so powerful there. But that's what makes this track so...
He's lost it here, I think.
So entertaining.
Yes,
Paul has lost it. He has, and he's got pushed around as well by Paul Robson. Nowhere for him to go, really. He would have had to spin himself off in order to avoid that collision. Paul Robson will almost certainly have a bit of aero damage to the front of his car, but it should hopefully not be bending his steering anyway. But Piers Berry has just said, thank you very much. I'll take my P6 that I originally started in back, and you guys can go battle it out behind me as well. Paul Cowshaw loses out to Matthew Hoyland as well. He won't care a jot about that, Matthew, because he's already got P1 in his class. But Ewan Stitchbury still on the back of the two South Africans, back in order again, and almost certain to work together as a team. Is Tristan going to be able to get to the end of this race, as we all do the cute puppy face and tilt our head sideways for that banging? It's so steep. Can you imagine? I don't know if you've seen it before as well. For the ovals, when you're trying to walk up the side of those ovals, it's almost impossible to walk up the top. It's so steep.
Yeah, that'd be good exercise for you. I think you'd run up there all the time. There was a racing driver. I tilt my head every single time I do that as we're on board. Look at that, last late breakers there. Stitchberry knows that he's got 3 minutes and change to get something done here. But it's going to be difficult because you know at the fact that both the South African drivers in P3 and P4, 270 and the 225 machine is going to be working together to make it almost difficult to become a blocker. It's like football, isn't it, at this point? And they're going to be trying their absolute best. Peter Cox is going to be a big smile on his face knowing, all right, I've still got a 1.8 second gap, but I don't think Zelinkas can do anything too much about that. Zelinkas doesn't have to worry about anything behind him because look at this. This is the battle. It's essentially all there. So he's okay. And it's good to see, you know, the last season champion having a nice comfortable race. You know, at the fact there that Rhys Saunders would be loving to join this party. You know, Rhys Saunders probably would be slap bang in the middle of it, but unfortunately he's not. Piers Berry, of course. Piers Berry, one of the new drivers that we just had come in there, is doing a solid performance. And, well, we did know, of course, that what had happened there to
Paul Robson and Paul Cowlishaw have both come into the pit, so they've come in to repair that damage.
Where are they?
And I have to say, Paul Robson must have had some major damage to his steering in order to come into the pits to fix that. Otherwise, you would just say continue, wouldn't you? But they're back out on track again, right next to each other after having contact for the second week in a row. And I'm pretty sure as well, after the aggressive moves that we've seen from Luke Lucchese and Tristan de Brega on Ewan Stitchbury, that both of those guys have definitely not forgotten the Spa incident in Eau Rouge, where Luke Lucchese got pushed wide and then killed by Ewan Stitchbury in Eau Rouge and Radion, and was not happy about it either. It got noted down as a racing incident at the time by the stewards, but I can imagine that drivers don't forget. They're like elephants, you know. They definitely do not forget who's punted them off and who's been aggressive with them in the past. And you definitely, as a racing driver myself, start racing those people a bit harder and give them less space. And maybe you want to see a bit of door bagging against them. Maybe you want to push them wide a little bit because you do remember the time. Hang on, he put me into a barrier once. It's time to repeat that back. The gap has come down a little bit. It's 1.7 seconds now between Peter Cox and Auramas Zalinskas, but it's too little, too late by the looks of things. We're going to be on the white flag lap now. We've got 59 minutes on the clock of the 1 hour race, and Peter Cox, I have to say, is my driver of the day. He's done an absolute fantastic job here this evening, and wins his first race, or should hopefully win his first race here in Daytona, Florida, 50 miles north of Orlando. He get himself down to Disney World and
about to say that.
Universal Studios after this to go celebrate, even if they do charge $10 for a can of Coke.
Oh, a lot more than that, mate. Yeah, exactly. It's very... But I don't think he needs to worry about it, mate. He's going to have all that... he's going to have a trophy, perhaps, at the end of the season, if obviously the drivers are going to receive. I think he had a bit of traffic, and now you're just playing cool, calm, and collective, isn't it? There's one point you don't want to be making any mistakes.
1.3. It has come down, but yeah, a bit of traffic. He's just hoping to keep this till the end. There's the checkered flag as he comes across the line to win the Daytona 1 hour sunset race, and got Auramas Zalinskas there following up in P2. Fantastic drive from him as well. He kept his nose clean and out of trouble and gained himself 3 positions to finish on the podium. Tristan de Brega did get to the end without pitting once more. Takes P3, so he'll probably stay in charge of the championship, extend his gap over Aaron Kirby, who finishes P9. He'll be disappointed with that one. That is his joint worst finish of the season for Aaron Kirby there. Luke Lucchese with a P4. He'll be pleased with that after gaining 4 positions. Ewan Stitchbury just got boxed out of it, bullied out of it by the 2 South Africans. Finishes in a respectable P5 though, and that's another consistent finish for him, and his best finish in 4 races as well. So he'll be pleased with that. Piers Berry, of course, newcomer to the league, be very happy with a P6 finish in his debut. Matthew Hoyland once more showing that the Pro-Am drivers can certainly mix it with the pro drivers as well. Matt Barnett, P8 overall. Absolute fantastic job from him. And we've had some excellent racing. I mean, the highlight has to be that move from Paul Robson down the inside of 2 cars into turn 1. Absolute huge bravery. Gave us, I mean, I think I turned into a little girl when that happened and screamed the house down there. And Matt's winning their classes, says DXT Rob Sim Racer. Let's go, says Smokey Joe. What a race that was. Fantastic race.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. You said it can be a little bit of a ball fest, but not with this group of fantastic drivers, not here at Evolution Sim Racing. Couple of retirements, no doubt, there early in there, but you'd have to say great, fantastic race start as well, too. Only a couple of incidents going into that turn 1 and turn 2, which is obviously notorious here in Daytona, in the road course of Daytona. So, yeah, and that was great. I think that was a wise decision to do that. I think standing start might have just caused some massive chaos there, and we probably would have had a lot more retirements than what we had, but an opportunity for many drivers there to gain those positions there. Paul, of course, didn't at the end of the day, right? Obviously, the fuel thing didn't work out. Both the Pauls, of course, great battle between them, but we're going to talk a little bit further about that, no doubt, as we're going to go into our interviews. Let the drivers have a little bit of a breather.
I mean, I've got to let them get out of the cars first. They're still driving around.
Yeah,
Look.
they just can't get enough. They're like, Gary, give us another hour. You want to go Daytona 24 hours? Let's go. 24 hours, guys.
Well done, Highland, says DXTV live in the chat. DX doing DXT proud. He certainly is absolutely smashing it this season. As somebody's doing donuts there, it is Tristan Dinnebrega. I'm surprised he's got enough fuel left in the car to do donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, the rolling start definitely worked. It's very unusual to see a standing start, first of all, in a multi-class race, which this technically is. And it's very unusual to see one with a grid with this many drivers. We've consistently, fantastic job by the league, consistently got around 40 drivers on these grids. And normally when you've got that many cars starting on the same time, a rolling start is the way to go. So hopefully we'll see more of those in the future for future races. But big shout out to Piers Berry. He definitely has done himself very, very proud on his debut. Matt Barnett and Matthew Hyland. What great drives. They keep putting themselves up there in with the pro guys from those lower categories, and that's always good to see. Yeah, Nathan Crook with a P2, fantastic, another podium for him as well. And it's Joe Glass with, once again, fantastic comeback from him after early in the season. He was finishing down in the dumps, maybe getting in too many incidents. Maybe he's figured something out, something's clicked, and he's now had a good run at the last few races. Nicholas Newton always seems to be there or thereabouts for Scuderia talent, and he's also maybe in with a shout of maybe a late charge for that championship.
It has been fantastic. We'll no doubt get a chance to go to those drivers there. This time around there, I hope that you've had some food there, Stephen, before. I know that you were looking for some pizza or something that was going to be delivered, I think, last week. Right,
I still haven't received that pizza. I'm still waiting.
Oh, you're still waiting for that pizza? All right.
Pizza. Really? But yeah, we did get a refund sorted out in the end, and we opted for Greek the next night instead, because we didn't really fancy trying Pizza Express again after they gave us a vegan pizza that we didn't order. And yeah, it wasn't the best one. We'll move on to the interviews, though, because we do have to sleep at some point as well. So, but we'll pull in Matt Hyland first of all, winner of Pro-Am category again, and another fantastic race week for you. How was that?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, a very quiet race for me, actually. I'm sure there was other things going on, but I didn't really see anything. I only ever seemed to see maybe 10 cars all race. I seemed to drop into my own little world and just kept lapping, and thankfully got a really good result out of it. So I'm really happy.
And with Matthew Jones nowhere to be seen, even in the top 5. Scott Kostrich nowhere to be seen, even in the top 5 there as well. Daniel Nance having an incident in the early stages as well. All of your rivals have had a poor day today. So nobody wishes a bad race on the fellow racers, but that's got to make it even more special, doesn't it? Because everybody else has fallen at this hurdle and you've jumped over it with leaps and bounds.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice bonus. I mean, like you say, you don't want anyone to have a bad day. Obviously, we all like to have a good race and do his best, but it's definitely takes a bit of pressure off. I mean, especially now considering that I got a bit bored of the Ferrari and decided to jump to Lamborghini because James will be taking 51 points away for doing that. So I'm not actually sure how the standings are going to pan out because it'll only be updated following these results. So I'm going to have to see where I actually am in reality.
I think you're still going to be in P1, even with that 50-point penalty. But how did you find the Lamborghini? Was it okay?
It was really good fun, actually. I find it, it's a little bit more pointy than the Ferrari. It can be trickier, especially in the slow speed stuff. I had a couple of moments When you really hard on the brakes, it does try and sort of come round on itself sometimes. But that's generally more of a car I like. I like things to be a bit pointy, a bit, moving around under you. So I'm really getting on with it well at the minute.
Yeah, definitely the most fun cars to drive. We'll let you go. Enjoy another win under your bag and enjoy the rest of the evening. But thank you very much for your time, Matt. Fantastic to see you on the podium again.
Catch you later.
We'll go to Matt Barnett next, and an absolutely fantastic race there. P8 overall. For an AM driver, you've got to be over the moon with a result like that.
I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a surprise to be that high up. Me and Nathan, who I think is kind of on pace for me, we were very similar in qualifying. I managed to kind of pull a gap out from him in the first stint before the pit stop, and then kind of held it out. Had a couple of little scary moments with like almost losing it in the bus stop, but was a little bit scared after that and just kind of brought it home. And yeah, I'm very happy, but I know Nathan's coming for me.
I mean, Nathan Crook fourth in the championship at the moment, but there's not many points separating you two. Mark Robinson, though, your closest rival, only 11 points behind, crashed out and didn't finish the race. We've just been through this with Matthew Hoyland as well. Nobody wants to see somebody crash out and end their race like that, but that gives you a bit of breathing space in the championship. You must be confident going into the finals, second half of the season.
I'm gutted for him, to be honest. I didn't see what happened. I saw he disconnected during the race. He's a lovely guy, though, so I feel a bit bad for him. But yeah, I'm just welcoming the competition. I enjoy the racing, and I hope that Nathan and Mark both kind of have a good race next week, and we take it down to the wire, put on a show.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've definitely had some shows all through the leagues and things. And the AM categories is the tightest of them all. It's Interlagos next. We're off to Brazil, as they say. But how do you feel about that track?
Well, I thought I was going to struggle here, I'll be honest. And it came away with a good result. And I thought I was going to struggle at Le Mans, and I came away with a good result. So I'm going to say that I'm going to struggle at Interlagos and hopefully come away with a good result again.
Yeah, we've got Nathan Nismo in chat. I'm guessing that's Nathan Crook saying to you, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
Bring it on, Nathan. Let's see you in Brazil.
Yeah, keep your eye on that rear view mirror. We'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, but thank you very much for your time.
You too, buddy. Cheers.
Bye. We'll do one more final interview, and then we'll call it wraps. But we've got Jeremy Ulemans in the booth here for you. Not one to remember today, Jeremy. How did you feel about that one?
It was a complete disaster for me. Practice all week. I did 144s. I did not do 144 this race. And I spun on my own. I got collected in a T1 accident where someone hit the tire wall in T1. Just wasn't my night.
Yeah, I think we maybe caught that on the stream as well. I wasn't sure who the Porsche was, who it was that ended up breaking. Somebody had to stop dead on track to avoid that. Still hit them anyway, but I think you got caught up in a little bit of that there as well. But,
yeah, there were two. Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, long are the days of that Le Mans race where you finished P2. You haven't quite hit those heights yet again. Do you feel as though maybe you've got it in your locker still before the end of the season to get a podium?
Probably not. As I said, I'm buying a new track every week, so I'm still pretty new to iRacing, and I noticed tonight this wasn't my night.
Interlagos next. Have you got that one in the bank already, or is that going to be another new track for you?
That's got to be another new track for me.
You'll absolutely adore it. It's an absolutely fantastic racetrack, very flowing and easy to get the hang of once you figure out how turn 1 and 2 works, for sure.
Yeah. one quick note though for the guys in the league. I absolutely love the rolling start. I loved it. I don't know if they want to continue it for this season, possibly next season, but I loved it.
Me and Biggles were just talking about that on the stream as well, because you very rarely see multi-class racing do a standing start. You very rarely see a standing start for 40 cars on the grid as well. So we're hoping as well that we do see this rolling start more often. Makes it just a little bit simpler to get going, really, doesn't it? But it's got its own challenges as well. Yeah, I'm glad to see that people are enjoying that decision.
exactly.
But we'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, because we've all got lives and families to get to. But thank you very much once more for your time, Jeremy. And hope to see you have a good result in Interlagos.
All right. Good night, guys.
Have a good one. So there we have it. That's Daytona over and done with. And some big results here for some people. Some switches and changes in the championship as well. And you've got to say, Peter Cox, what a fantastic race he's done there for UK Sim Racing. Wins his first race. We didn't get the chance to interview him, but hopefully he overcomes his shyness and gets into the booth in the coming weeks, especially if he's back on that podium as well. But what do you make of that one, Biggles? Cracker, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And Peter Cox, great job there as well, too, holding on. You can see, remember, he started in P2. You can see at the very start of the race there. Had to get it done and got it done in the pit stop strategy. Worked out brilliantly because we saw that pit stop mistake. It's so easy to make a pit stop mistake here. And that costs you a fraction of a second. And at the end of the day, that builds up into a lot of time in a 1 hour race. So that is a little indication that out there, not just go out there and practice your laps over and over again to get the fastest time, also practice your pit stops.
Definitely.
And that actually helps. So here is our details, of course, and we're on, as you said, to Interlagos, my favorite track, as well as James's favorite track. Of course, James, the boss man of JP Broadcasting Network. Him and I, we love Interlagos, and don't get us talking about the whole Isaac Glock moment back in the championship in 2008, because he thinks it's all, it was all just a Glock deliberately did it, stuff like that. But after that, of course, Watkins Glen, and then over to your neck of the woods there in the old United Kingdom.
My favourite track, Silverstone.
It doesn't have the elevation changes of Interlagos, my friend.
I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, and that's it, isn't it, my friend? Care. Of course, and looking forward to that. Back to the regular schedule again. Though, race 1, race 2 with the reverse grid. Remember, we didn't have the reverse grid around here, but we didn't need it. We had a lot of fun.
Certainly did. But thank you very much for watching. Everybody who was in the chat, thank you so much for getting involved. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and get that subscribe button hit as well if you want to see more. But we'll love you and leave you. It's been a pleasure commentating for you all. Thank you very much.